Carnage in the Turkish capital of Ankara as twin explosions from a suicide bomber killed over 30 people. The blast rocked the Labour Peace Democracy rally near Ankara Central Railway Station, Turkey's busiest train hub. The 10 a.m. rally was planned by Turkey's biggest trade union in protest against the Turkish government's policy towards the Kurdistan Workers' Party. Pro-Kurd supporters in Turkey have come under attack from the Islamic State group before, with a suicide bomber killing dozens meeting of Turkish socialist youth on their way to Kobane earlier this year. Russian aircraft, meanwhile, continued to shell the Islamic State group's positions in northern Syria, hitting vehicles and ammunition reserves and other facilities. According to a Russian Ministry of Defense spokesperson, the Air Force carried out 55 attacks on militant targets in the last 24 hours. The U.S., which was forced to abandon its $500 million training program for so-called moderate Syrian rebels, has accused Russia of targeting non-Islamic State group fighters. Hundreds attended funeral in Hebron and the West Bank village of Yatta for two Palestinian men killed by Israeli forces. At least 6 Palestinians were killed yesterday, along with dozens injured and shot in the latest flare-up of tensions which come after Israeli authorities restricted access to Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. Some are speculating that these latest clashes could turn into a third intifada or uprising.
A demonstration against the IMF and World Bank annual meeting took place on Friday in Lima, Peru, to protest what participants called the false portrayal by the institutions of the situation in the country. They claim it is not true that Peru is a success story or an economic miracle of the financial institutions.
What miracle? They are, on the contrary, saying to apply everything that is against workers. That is why we are here.
We are going to suffer with sickness, without a right to health, without right to life, because that is what we are seeing nowadays with this agreement that they are making.
They are concealing what is happening, and at the end it is for the benefit of those on top, the millionaires, the gringos, but we continue the same or even worse, and that is why we march.
Peru has been following the neoliberal prescription of the World Bank and the IMF for decades, with mixed results. There was a high GDP growth up to 2014, but the economy has decelerated since then, and the country maintains some of the worst human development indicators in the region, such as in education, inequality, and malnutrition.
There is a complex context in which people have voted in the last elections for changes in the dominant political economical model, and these changes haven't been implemented by the nationalist Ollanta Humala government. So I do think that there's a kind of general frustration in some parts of the population that are the cause of many of the conflicts and also at the roots of this demonstration today.
Homer also argued that there is a direct link between the suffering of the people in the poorest areas of Peru and the policies the World Bank is promoting. The march ended at the entrance of the highly guarded and isolated complex in southern Lima, where the IMF and the World Bank meetings are taking place. Rael Mora, Telesur, Peru.
In Argentina, every anniversary of Ernesto Che Guevara's assassination works as a reminder of his revolutionary life. His struggle has encouraged several generations of Argentinians into embracing activism, and it has helped shaping social movements and left-wing parties since the early 70s.
It is clear that Che's ideas have a strong influence in the sense of encouraging people to change the world, to start the revolution. to know that there are deep changes that need to be made in social and economic structures in order to solve the inequality that affects our continent.
The most famous photo of Che taken by the Cuban photographer Alberto Corda is often seen in t-shirts and flags in rock concerts or football stadiums in Argentina, showing that his influence is not waning in the younger generations.
When I was a child, there was a painting near my house that said Che lives, and I wondered who he was. When I asked my parents, and they told me, it was then that I thought that I should either keep seeing Che as a man on a t-shirt or start acting consequently. And so, through Che, I learned about Fidel, and through Fidel, I learned about Cuba.
Che's life is also motivational for local artists and musicians, and it is a recurring theme for paintings, songs, and literature.
If we compare him to other historical figures, he has this aura of having died young and in middle of guerrilla warfare. I believe his figure radiates empathy, even for those who do not agree with his political ideas or his political initiatives.
Che Guevara remains alive in the hearts and minds of the Argentine people, and his example will keep on driving future generations of Latin Americans to follow his revolutionary legacy to build a new world based on solidarity. Laureano Ponce, Telesur, Buenos Aires.
Facts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. Telesur, wherever the news, you'll be there.